Have you ever craved delicious melt-in-your-mouth burnt ends but didn't have 12 to 16 hours to cook a brisket? If your answer was yes, then you're going to want to stick around because today on Fatty's Feast, I'm going to be showing you how to make something just as good in way less time. Let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome in. My name is Josh if it's your first time here, and look at this beautiful landscape we're working with today. I hate the snow, but for whatever reason today, it just looks really beautiful. And it's perfect weather for a quick recipe today, so you're gonna love this one. If you've ever had brisket burnt ends, you know they are basically the king of barbecue. However, you need to cook a whole brisket to make them, and they only make up a small part of the brisket. So today I'm gonna show you how we can make delicious burnt ends using this chuck roast. Now I did a chuck roast brisket a few months back. You can check that video out. I'll put a link here. Basically, I wanted to see if cooking a chuck roast, a cheaper cut of meat, would render similar results to a brisket. And what I found, it's not as good. It's pretty close, but it's not as good. And it took 9 to 10 hours. If I just spent another few hours, I could have done a whole brisket. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna cube this bad boy up, we're gonna season it just like a brisket, and we're gonna see if we can get similar results to brisket burnt ends. So let's get started. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pound this thing out a little bit. It's a little too thick for my liking. We're not going crazy here, just want to get it a little thinner. Something like that. Much better to work with. And now we're going to just cut these into strips, or cut this into strips, I should say. Notice here we got some fat, so that's going to probably fall off. It's not going to be perfect. Chuck roasts aren't perfect. So we're looking for about 1 inch, give or take. Now I'm just going to go through and make these into little cubes. I just cut that part off because it was sticking out. But once again, 1 inch. Obviously this one's much smaller than this one. That's okay. The nice thing is this chuck roast might just tell us where we need to cut it, and that's cool. Here's one. This is just fat. I'm going to get rid of that. Now I've done pork belly burnt ends, which came out really freaking good. You're going to want to check that video out too. Look at that. Nice pile of cubed chuck roast. And now, to make life simple, I'm just going to throw them in this bowl. Going to hit it with a little bit of a mustard binder. We can get our hands in there. I ran out of gloves. Otherwise I'd be wearing gloves, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Something like that. And then we got my brisket seasoning. And all that is Lowry seasoned salt, kosher salt, coarse ground black pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. I'll put the exact measurements in the description for you. Do one more coat. And we can be a little more generous with these, because why not? And then because I'm psychotic, a little more black pepper. And then check that out. I would eat this right now. Not really. Cutting board and my handy dandy rack. We're gonna evenly space these out. Doesn't matter which way you put them down. And the reason I'm putting the rack upside down is because I wanna be able to flip these if I need to without these things getting in the way. And we can move these and adjust these. Oh, almost perfect. One more, we'll put that right in the center. Now, if you wanna put some thicker ones, like I'll take this one. We'll make this the front side. I'll do the same here, I'll take this one. Anything that's more fat, I'll put in the front. And there we go. Beautifully seasoned chuck roast, burnt ends, little chunks of heaven. And let's throw these puppies right here. Gonna throw a probe right here, and my handy dandy water pan right here. Shut her down. Now, I know I say it all the time, but this really shouldn't take that long to do. When I did the chuck roast brisket, I thought it was going to take about 5 hours. Ended up taking 9 to 10. I can't remember the exact number. But that was one solid piece. These are cubed. So I'm hoping it'll only take 2 to 3 hours before we have to wrap them. The plan is we're going to hold our temps around 250 degrees. I'm going to check on them after 1 hour, see if I have to rotate them or spritz them. And then once they reach a good internal temp around 170, bark set, and fats rendered, we're going to wrap. Had a little bit of trouble getting a good coal bed going this morning, so I overloaded the firebox a little bit. Temps are fine, nothing's spiking. This thing is a beast. So it's been about an hour. Let's take a temp. 145, wow. 142, 155, 153. I might be on the money for once with this time. I'm just gonna flip these to right about here, just to switch it up a bit. And we got my mix of apple cider vinegar and water. Let's just spray them down, just a touch. Trying to avoid the fat. Looking good. Shut her down. So overall, we're doing pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the results so far. We're right where I thought we would be. I'm gonna keep these going at 250 probably for about another hour, and we'll come back and see if we're ready to wrap. All right, so it's been 3 hours. Let me take one of these bad boys out. We'll do this one. My hands are frozen, so I don't really care about burning them. But I'm looking for fat render. We got amazing fat render right now. My hand's just going in there like a delicious burnt end. Oh my God, that looks so freaking hot. We have a nice bark that's set. These are looking, look at, if I just squeeze this. Oh. Okay, that burns a little bit. But lastly, let me just take a temp. Once again, temp isn't the only thing we're looking for. Oh, perfect. 180 up here. 190 back there, wow. 188. Yeah, these bad boys are ready. One thing to keep in mind, I said it took 3 hours. After 2 hours, I checked them. They weren't exactly there, so I did spray them and rotate them one more time. But the reason it took 3 hours instead of 2 is because I was filming another video regarding my thoughts on the Freedom 94 smoker after 90 days of use. You're gonna wanna check that out. I'll put a link right here. This video is coming out before that one, so maybe you won't have to click the link. You'll see it anyway. But I was opening the firebox and playing with stuff, and that's sort of what caused some temperature drops and et cetera, et cetera. Filming and cooking at the same time is sort of tough. So that's why it took 3 hours instead of 2. Should have taken 2, obviously, because that's what I predicted. I'm an expert, right? All right, let's wrap these. Okay, got my tray right here. I'm just gonna take these right off the smoker and toss them in. I don't wanna burn my table or melt it. And look at this one, ladies and gentlemen. That's oozing with juices. I don't know if you can see that. That fat render, freaking delicious. Let's get these spaced out. Then all I got here is some beef tallow. I'm gonna put this stuff right on top. If I can get it off, there we go. And this is just leftover from briskets I made and where I've rendered down fat. You can do butter if you don't have tallow, that's completely fine. But I'm trying to keep it beefy as possible. And I could have warmed this stuff up, but I don't care. This is just gonna bring the juiciness up to the next level. All right, that looks about good. That's probably enough fat, right? Yeah, one more, why not? We'll put that there or something, I don't freaking know. And then our aluminum foil, aluminum. There we go. Let's throw it back on. Voila. And that's it. So because that container and that beef tallow are a little bit cold, we might drop in temperature a little bit. I'm not too worried. We'll just bump our temps up in the smoker to about 250, 275. I'm guessing we're gonna be at another hour to an hour and a half before we're ready to take these off and sauce them. I'm gonna check on them periodically just to see how we're doing, but we're looking for a temperature of about 205-ish, but more importantly, we're looking for proper fat render, and we want our probe, our temperature probe, to go in these things like butter. Then and only then will we sauce them. We're not gonna do anything until then. So like I said, hour and a half, we'll come back, we'll check in. It's been 3 hours. 3 hours, you heard me correctly, since we wrapped these. And now we're finally at a point where we can sauce them and they're almost ready to come off. All right, here are our burnt ends. If we look at them, it feels like butter, so we're good there. Like literally no resistance whatsoever. So if you take an internal temp, 198, it doesn't really matter what the internal temp is though, because we're looking for them to feel like butter, which they do. Which is funny because like this one doesn't exactly feel like butter because once again, the fat content isn't there, but the internal temp is there. So that's something you have to look for. Just how do they feel? And they're not gonna feel that great sometimes, depending on the fat content. Whereas brisket, it'll feel like butter every time. So what I'm gonna do is pour some of this fat into this container here, just so I can save that. It's gonna be good for some eggs in the morning or something else, whatever. Oh no. I got it, we're good. And now what I wanna do is pour some of this barbecue sauce over these burnt ends. This is barbecue sauce, Stubbs Original with some apple cider vinegar. All I'm gonna do is mix these bad boys around a little bit. And there we go, some nice sauced pieces of meat. Let's put them back on the smoker. At this point, we're gonna let the sauce set for about 30 minutes and then we'll let them rest for 30 minutes and then we will give them a taste test. I will see you then. All right, so in total, these took about 7 hours or so, which is fine, but I thought they would take a little less than that, obviously, like I said. These burnt ends came out very, very good. Let's give it a try, see what we have. Okay, I can work with this. It's pretty good. I mean, the thing with this is like, it melts in my hand right here. It's not terrible at all. Oh my God. The fat's rendered very well, but it's not as good as a brisket, obviously, because it's chuck roast. Obviously, it's not going to be good as a brisket, but it tastes very, very good. Barely any chewing there. Like, that sort of melts in my mouth. And that's delicious. Wow, I love that. I mean, not as good as a brisket burnt end, but if you want some burnt ends, you want to do them sort of similar to a brisket, this is really the way to do it. You know, season them like you do your briskets, and then, I mean, this is just like so freaking good. This one's a little tough because there was not a lot of fat in there, but that's fine. But anyway, that will do it for this episode of Fatty's Feast. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, smash that like button, get this content out to more people. Leave a comment on things you want to see me make on the smoker or on the flat top. It doesn't matter. I want to make some recipes for you guys. Or just say what's up. I'd love to hear from you. Over here, I'm going to put a video that walks you through my opinions of the Patriot Pitts Freedom 94 smoker after 90 days of use. You're going to want to check that out if you want to up your smoking game to the next level and you're interested in purchasing a Patriot Pitts smoker. And then over here, I'm going to put a playlist of my smoker beef. You're going to want to check that out. Hours of entertainment. Right in the middle, you can subscribe if you want to see more of this beautiful average face. And until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay hungry.